son of the bitch.
Hey guys, it's Will.
And I'm Mike.
Back with another Terrible Infant countdown.
Yeah.
Top 7 Van Damme movies. This is very exciting. I think Mike is especially excited.
I like Van Damme a lot. Ever since I was a kid and I saw some of those movies.
Is he your first crush?
No.
Oh. So we're just going to jump right into it. And then if you want to leave your list of your top, whatever, 5, 7, 10 Van Damme movies in the comments, please do. Probably Bloodsport will be most people's favorite, right?
Probably.
In the comments section.
Maybe.
We just did on our 80s Nerdgasm page, we just did a Kickboxer versus Bloodsport poll.
Wasn't even close.
No, it destroyed it.
Wasn't even close.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so at number 7, I have Time Cop.
It's a good movie.
I love that movie. Time travel mullets. Is it his? Well, so that and Cyborg, are those his only sci-fi movies? Well, I guess Universal Soldier is sci-fi.
No, he did like other ones. Like he did like Replicant. He did Universal Soldier.
I've never seen Replicant. Yeah,
we should watch it.
To me, when you said Replicant, I just remember Maximum Risk, and I'm like, I should have put that movie on my list. Because Ringo Lam directed that,
a lot
right?
of good stuff. Yeah.
I just really like Time Cop. It's like silly. It's really fun. It's different for me than like the average Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
It's like pretty heavy sci-fi. So there you go.
Number 7 for me.
He's hiding his list.
I'm hiding it. I don't want you
it's
to
like
say
tucked away.
You can read through it too, probably. So number 7 for me is In Hell.
The prison one, right?
Yeah, it's a prison movie. It's a movie that a lot of people don't know about or don't care about, but it stars Van Damme and actually Lawrence Taylor, the football player, for some reason.
No, LT is in it?
LT's in it.
Isn't he in Any Given Sunday?
I can't remember. He's in a couple movies, but basically it's a movie. I forget where it's set. It's set somewhere in Eastern Europe. I can't remember the country. It's been a while since I've seen it. I want to say Romania or somewhere like that. And someone murders his wife, and he's framed for it. He goes to jail.
Is he goes ham on people?
And in the jail, it's there's like a fighting thing set up, and at first he doesn't want to fight, but slowly his like soul gets crushed, and he's like basically he's forced to fight. He becomes like a beast in there, and it's like he's in hell, and it's good. It's a more serious movie than his usual.
So that I just looked this up because I couldn't remember, but that movie is also directed by Ringo Lam.
It's a good movie,
and he did a Hong Kong prison movie called Prison on Fire with Chow Yun-fat. It's a really, really like bleak, brutal movie about like living in prisons.
Yeah, this is kind of like that too. So check it out.
I have actually a prison movie at number 6, Death Warrant.
Death Warrant's fun.
Which is, as Mike likes to say, is kind of like a horror movie because it has the Sandman in it, and he's like this creepy evil villain.
Well, it starts with like it's like Van Damme's a cop, and he's like going after this guy, and it's like in this dark house, and then there's all these
the
jump
opening
scares
scene
and
is
stuff.
really creepy. Yeah,
and then when he finally, spoiler alert, comes back in the prison. And he's all scary looking because it's like Patrick Kilpatrick. He's like scary looking anyway.
Big dude too, right? Yeah.
And then he gets burned and doesn't die. And he's like, "You can't kill me."
To me, it's like it's like really in keeping with those '90s movies with like the genius crazy killers like Hannibal Lecter and Kevin Spacey's character in Seven, John Doe, right? That's what they call him. Like that whole kind of like. Anyway, so and it has some badass fight scenes, and it's yes.
So number 6 is, for me, Kickboxer. Maybe I'll get a little flame for that because I don't know how well regarded that movie is or not. It spawned a bunch of sequels now. There's like 3, 4, 5, a bunch.
There have been like 2 in the past couple of years. Right?
Yeah. And they're not great.
They're he's fun. In them though.
He's
right?
in them, but he plays the trainer role. So in this Kickboxer, it's a very similar film to a lot of the films he's done, like Bloodsport, The Quest. They all have that kind of setup where he goes.
Is that on your list? Don't tell me.
He gets trained up by some local, and then he fights someone who's supposed to be way better than him, and ultimately prevails. I just remember this movie, like the training sequences are really fun. He does that goofy dance in the bar, and there's some cool fight scenes. Tong Po is really cool in it. Tong Po is the bad guy in it,
and he's but the guy who plays Tong Po.
He's in Bloodsport. He's one of the fighters. He's
but
in a bunch of stuff.
He has a brother, right? And the two of them are in like a ton of Van Damme movies.
Yeah, they're like
they're like friends with him or something.
Yeah, they're like friends with him, and they're like stunt people. And the Tong Po character in Kickboxer had a bunch of prosthetics on his face to make him look kind of weird like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fun movie, but not as high as some of the other ones.
Well, I actually have Kickboxer at number 5 on my list.
We watched it together.
Yeah, we did. One of the things that I like a lot about Van Damme movies is that they go like I wouldn't say great lengths, but they go more lengths than a lot of other movies of that kind of like grindhouse kind of milieu to create like a sense of like atmosphere. And so like they went and shot that movie in Thailand, right? And like
It's cool. In the
Bloodsport
jungle.
and Double Impact, they both filmed in Hong Kong. And like so it's really fun to like watch the movie and see them like in these locations, and like there's more of a sense of like being there and understanding the,
It's not like in a stage on a green
or
screen.
it's not in
fun.
like Toronto and they're like we're in Bangkok
Yeah.
or wherever. So
We're
or
in
like,
LA and there's like those giant mountains in the background.
What was that? What was the Jackie Chan movie, Rumble in the Bronx, where there's like 30,000-foot mountains?
And they're hiking the Bronx.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I mean that's enough about Kickboxer.
So my number 5 is Universal Soldier.
Classic.
Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren are in it.
And Roland Emmerich, right, directed it, who did like Independence
so, yeah.
Day. Yeah.
And it spawned a bunch of sequels too. It's just a really fun. It's kind of like a sci-fi movie in the sense that and obviously there's gonna be spoiler alerts for this entire list. But he plays a soldier, and they're part of this program where when they're killed in combat, they're brought back like through this experimental procedure, and they're brought back to be this like elite team. And for most of them, it's fine, but Dolph Lundgren's character starts going a little crazy, as you can expect, and basically becomes Van Damme versus Dolph Lundgren, and
The final fight in that movie is so
it's
good.
just fun. And basically,
And they're both like karate champions, right? So it's like
they both know
legit-
what they're doing, and it's just a fun because it's a mix of fighting, guns, explosions, and
I feel
cool,
like Dolph
cool
might
shit.
actually win
He's just
because he's a
big.
foot tall.
He's so
He's
big.
like a foot tall.
People don't realize how big Dolph Lundgren is. He's huge.
And he was like a world karate champion.
Yeah, he knows.
Right?
He knows what he's doing.
Okay, so number 4, I have Lionheart.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
It's a fun movie.
It has what a lot of his movies have, where he's like he's
yeah.
a trained fighter, and he
has to fight in these arranged fights for money for some reason.
Yep. And but what I like about this movie is he escapes the French Legionnaire, right? But he's like a prisoner of the French Legionnaire. Like he's like he went AWOL. He's in like some kind of camp in the beginning.
Yeah.
And he escapes and he comes to the U.S. and he meets this guy on the street who like helps him arrange his fights.
A little bum guy,
right?
Yeah.
And it has this element of like those kind of like urban dystopian movies from like the 80s and 90s, where he's like walking around these like dangerous cities and like dangerous neighborhoods,
Just
and
going
like
ham on people.
he's trying to get that. Isn't he trying to get like because his brother died?
His brother or something
And he's
died.
He's trying to get that
the
woman and the daughter out of the slums.
Yeah,
right?
something like that. And he's trying to go to the I don't know, something like that. And but it's like weird. That movie's a little weird to me because like he meets up with this woman who's like a promoter or something like that, and like she's the bad guy, like the villain of the film. But if you really think about it, all she wanted to do was like sleep with him and give him money. And I'm like, that doesn't sound that bad, right? Why? It's not so bad.
But no, but he's not.
but he has his eyes set on the other one.
Right,
It's
so
like,
he's like, no, I can't do that. Yeah.
I'm like, I would just.
But they're like evil rich people
Yeah,
who are
I
exploiting.
know,
But
bro.
no, you're right. I get your point. Yeah.
So number 4 for me, I put Double Impact, a film that
Well, should we show it off? We actually
have this one.
We brought in the Blu-ray.
We have one, and it's a film I'd seen once before, and then I showed Will, and then we watched it again.
We've
so,
seen it twice in like the
so
past year.
I've
or
seen
so,
it,
yeah.
I think 3 or 4 times myself. When I first saw this, I was really young, so seeing him play 2 people to me was mind blowing because I didn't know what was. I'm like, how did they do that? Obviously now it's
You
not.
thought it was two Van Damme?
Obviously now it's not that big.
They
a deal.
cloned him.
But it's fun because like he plays 2 different characters, and like I know he's not the greatest actor, but they are different enough that you can tell.
I think he
which
does a
one
good
is
job.
which. He
I
does
really
a pretty
do,
good
yeah.
job acting wise. And yes, if you look back now, some of the CG work's a little iffy, but still, this was made in 1990. There's some cool fight scenes. Bolo Young's in it.
on his chin.
I spat on his chin. Bolo Young's in it. A little dynamic. There's so many like funny, just like why did this thing happen in this movie kind of stuff.
Well, remember there's a whole sequence where Chad and what's the other guy's name? Alex. Alex is like the furious one.
The gangster one.
Yeah, so Chad has gone. They're hiding out in this hotel, and Chad has gone back to the city to do something with Alex's girlfriend, and they're on a boat coming back to the hotel, and Alex gets drunk
And he's
has
just imagining them having
he has like a
sex.
nightmare scenario of them having like really graphic sex, and then so when Alex gets back, Chad gets back, he just goes ham on him, and they have this.
They just fight each other, but it's just fun because the side characters are cool.
Uncle,
Corey Everson's in it. She was a former Miss
Right,
Olympia. Bolo Young's in it, and then they try to do a little history where like because of the English used to, be in charge of
Yeah,
Hong
it's like
Kong,
there's
trying to
like the
open
harbor tunnel and like
so
yeah.
you have that kind of connection, and it's just fun. There's a lot of cool fight scenes, a lot of gun scenes.
There's a lot of
cool
kind of
action.
like obviously they're trying to do like
and,
some John Woo kind of
and
stuff.
like you mentioned earlier, it is set in Hong Kong, and it looks like it's actually filmed there, and it's really cool to see it. So it's really fun. They tried to make a good movie, and I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah. I have at number 3, Bloodsport, which I know is sacrilege to some people that it's so low. But I mean, you'll probably talk more about Bloodsport at some point because I know you love that movie. The Kumite, Frank Dux, as with every Van Damme movie, is it Dukes or Dux?
Dukes, I think it's Dukes.
Oh, okay. One of my favorite detail about the life of Frank Dukes is that he claims that he was targeted by a rival gang of ninjas and they tried to assassinate him. Someone needs to make a movie about all the things that he has said has happened to him. Not just like the fight tournament, but like all of the outlandish claims that he has made over the course of his life. But I mean, to me, like Bloodsport is, and this just comes down to personal taste. But if you're gonna say to someone you can only watch one Van Damme movie in your life, Bloodsport is like the ultimate Van Damme movie.
Probably. It's just
that the fight scene with Bolo Young is so good, and it's just an awesome movie. And who's this Basher Smasher? What's that guy's name? Who's his buddy, the huge guy with the beard?
Jackson.
Why did I think his name was Smasher?
He plays Ogre in Revenge of the Nerds, but I don't know why you thought him bad. I mean, that's his fighting style. He has no skill. He just tries to clobber.
But he's not even that huge. He's not like the Mountain.
He's big though. He's I think I read the actor is like 6'5", 6'6", and he's like 280.
But that's big. Not like 7 feet tall.
But,
like Shaq.
But obviously all the people he's fighting in that tournament are
like pretty small. Yeah.
So, all right.
Why did I call him back?
I don't know. Number 3 for me, and this might get a little flame, is Street Fighter.
No! It's that high.
It's that high.
No.
Dude, I've seen Street Fighter at least 10 times.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. And I don't know why. I know it's a bad movie. I know that everything about it is bad. And for some reason, it all comes together and works for me. It's so cheesy and so goofy. I was a big fan of like the Street Fighter games back in the day. So seeing a Street Fighter movie was really cool to me, even though it was like complete trash.
Well, Raul Julia's in it,
and
right?
Raul Julia, and he's like, it's funny because he seems like he's like trying, and everyone else is just like going through the motions.
He's a really good actor,
and it's like so different. And there's like so many stupid quotes in it. Like,
well, the thing with
there's like a
truck?
There's a truck coming down outside, and they're all looking outside of it. And they're seen on a computer, like a TV
There's
feed.
There's like some kind of TV feed
and,
set up.
And Zangief's like, quick, change the channel. Like, that's going to do anything. And then the scene with Chun-Li and Bison, where she's reminding him about the time he came through her village and killed her parents and everything. He's like, that was just Tuesday. And then they're like fighting, and he's like flying around and shit. And it's just amazing. The fight with Zangief and Honda, where they see it on a feed, and it's like Godzilla smashing cities.
I forgot.
And then they become friends. It's just so good. You have to see it. I know it's one of those movies that's like, it's so bad it's good. And
someone told me recently that Van Damme said no to that movie like a butt ton of times, and then they just offered him so much money.
He's like, all right.
That he was like, fine, which is the story of
Over the Top
with Stallone, right? He just kept saying no and no.
I bet that's a story with a lot of films. Like, I'm not doing that shit. We'll give you $10 million. I'll do it.
Where do I show up? Okay, so at number 2, I have. Hey, guess what? We already talked about it.
Hey, Double Impact.
So, and I should also say that. So, this is MVD Rewind Collection. They have put out, obviously, Double Impact, Lionheart, which we don't have. I love that movie. Hopefully, we'll get that at some point. What's the really early one he did with the ninjas? Black Eagle.
Black Eagle.
And
I think he plays a bad guy in that one.
Yeah, and then I think they also did they put out Cyborg? No, someone else put out Cyborg on Blu-ray recently.
That's a bad movie. Wow. Whoo, boy. That is a stinker. I'm sorry, but wow. I've seen it twice, and it got worse the second time.
Well, there's just stuff about it that doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to go into it. This isn't a movie about Cyborg.
But Double Impact, like, I love that movie. And for all the reasons that we talked about already, we did a review of that movie. You can go and watch that and see why I love it. But it was really hard for me to pick my number 1. And there's only one reason that I picked number 1 over number 2, which I will tell you when I get to it. But I think that Double Impact is so much fun. And I almost put it at number 1.
It's really good. So number 2 for me, I have Hard Target. This movie's a little different than a lot
Solely
of.
for Wilford Brimley.
No, this movie's a little different than a lot of the. Like when you think of a classic Van Damme movie, you think some kind of fighting tournament, and he fights people one-on-one kind of thing, right?
And he wins some
Kickboxer,
kind of prize. Or
Bloodsport, The Quest,
Lionheart.
later Universal ones, all that kind of stuff, Lionheart, all that stuff. This movie is just different because he plays a different character, horrible Cajun character with a horrible like mullet kind of thing, and some
His
woman,
big trench coat.
some woman, she goes down to like New Orleans to find her missing dad, and she doesn't know the area or anything like that. So she gets this guy who's kind of like
But he's
down on his luck.
But he
kind of
plays
dude.
he's like a dock worker.
He's like
right?
a dock worker,
and he's like
or
trying to get
something.
work, but he doesn't have his union card.
Yeah,
There's like this whole.
And so she hires him to kind of help her go around the city and look for her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that Lance Henriksen and Arnold Vosloo,
The Mummy, right? Yeah.
from The Mummy, they're these like high end guys who pay bums so people can hunt them like
It's
human
the
prey.
most
kind of
dangerous
thing.
game,
The most
right?
dangerous
Yeah.
game, yeah. And you find out that her dad was one of these people, actually someone you see in the very beginning, and it's all about that, and they fight, and there's a bunch of cool fight scenes, and Wilford Brimley plays his uncle for some reason and has no Cajun accent whatsoever.
But they try to explain his accent by being like, "Oh, he's a swamp person."
He's a
It's
swamp
like, no,
person.
he's Belgian. Like,
Then there's all this cool shit, and like the ending is awesome. Like the
fi-
last 20 minutes
yeah,
is really
the final
cool.
action sequence is incredible.
But
And the should we? So my
Just-
number
just
one is
spoil
Hard
it,
Target.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't want to spoil it. Let's just both talk
Let's just
about
keep
it.
talking about it. So John Woo directed it, and that's the reason that I put it at number one because I really couldn't decide what I liked more, Double Impact or Hard Target. But I love John Woo, so I was like, let's give John Woo the vote and put him at number one. But apparently, John Woo's original edit of the movie was like half an hour longer, and Lance Henriksen was the main character because John Woo got along a lot better with Lance Henriksen. So he,
Lance Henriksen was a pretty big star at 93 when this came out.
But the scene where he punches the snake in the face, do you remember? And the final action scene is really like a classic, awesome John Woo like shootout kung fu.
I really love the
motorcycle scene.
There's
a really great. Cool. There's like a shootout on the streets of New Orleans that then turns into like a chase.
I really like when it's not the first time you meet him, but basically another introduction. Like she's driving away because he turns her down. And then, like, she's stuck behind these, like, forklifts or whatever, and they move aside, and there's, like, doves flying and music playing, and it kind of, like, reveals
and
him.
His
and
mullet is, like,
his mullet's
in the
flying, he's, like,
breeze.
standing there.
Like a superhero. Because he's wearing, like, a trench coat,
bad.
so it's like a cape almost.
It's so fun.
There's also, like, one of the plot devices is that the police are on strike, which is why, like, the city has devolved into so much chaos and crime. And there's one woman in the police station who's like the police officer in the movie.
Who decides to stay to work.
And she has it's her birthday, and she's all alone on her birthday, and she gets herself like a little, is it a cake or a cupcake?
It's a cake with some candles.
And she lights some candles, and then she get a phone call or something.
No, the woman shows up.
Right, the woman shows up, so she puts the woman is looking for her dad shows up, so the police officer opens her desk drawer, puts the cake in, doesn't blow the candles out,
and closes.
So good.
Those
I
are
love
the
that
little
movie.
details that make it.
So there you go. That's my number one Van Damme.
And my number one, it's probably pretty easy to figure out, it's Bloodsport. Man, I can't remember how old I was when I saw this movie first, but I was young. So there's a bit of nostalgia value, of course, with it. I've seen this movie over 10 times from start to finish. The first, 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes of it with the kid are some of the worst acting you'll ever see in your life.
It's so bad.
It's one of the worst acting
Who's
jobs.
worse, though? Him? And you can answer this question, too, if you want. Him or the kid in Over the Top?
By far the one in Bloodsport.
You think so?
By far. It's so bad. It's like he's reading lines, but he can't remember 2 words.
Do they have, like, placards up behind the camera?
But after that, once you get to grown-up Van Damme, once he gets to Hong Kong and walks through the city, he meets Jackson, goes to the Kumite, does like the death punch, and starts all the fighting. It's really cool. The fighting montage is fun. The music's really fun. There's a chase scene.
The scene where the woman's staring at his butt when he's getting dressed, and she's like, "Ooh, Daddy!"
It's just a really fun. It's a really quick movie too because it like goes fast. I'm like,
yeah, it is very
it's just
like
really enjoyable.
well-paced, yeah.
Really fun. I think the fight scenes are pretty good. I mean, they're not like perfect, but I think they're pretty good. They actually got. I don't think they're all fighters, but they actually got at least
They're mostly
stunt
like real,
people.
yeah.
And some fighters, so it's not just like nobody. So there's at least some fun. And Bola Young is really fun in it because he plays this like menacing bad guy, and he's just really good at that role.
Yeah, he really is. And it has like the fight
he's a
scenes in that
believable
movie
bad guy.
have like a. I'm thinking of this because I just watched an interview with James Glickenhaus, who is a director who had worked with Jackie Chan, and he was talking about how he didn't like Jackie Chan's style of like all the flipping and shit like that, and he liked it when people just beat the shit out of each other. And I'm like, Bloodsport is like the perfect.
Yeah, Bloodsport's like that. There's some
that,
there's
like,
different styles where like there's a judo guy, there's a kickboxer guy, there's street fighters, there's a brawler.
But they really are
there's
just
stuff
like
that.
hammering each other.
But yeah, they're not doing like wrestling moves and like it's funny now because now we've all watched like MMA and we've all seen all these other techniques and like if you put a good wrestler in there, he would just like dominate everyone because he would take them down and they wouldn't have anything, they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But you know, obviously it's a movie and obviously that's boring. So just really fun movie. I don't know what else to say. I'm sure most of you who watch our channel have seen it. We post clips from Bloodsport a lot, and they do really well.
It's very popular on 80s Nerdgasm, yeah.
It's held up really well, actually. It's held up well, and that happens a lot from the 80s movies that were shot on location because, again, there's no CGI, there's no special effects, there's no green screening, there's
I also feel like
that kind of stuff.
When maybe this isn't true, but I feel like when people were shooting on film and you had to do like real lighting and real sets and all this shit, you actually had to know what you were doing. And so even if you're not at the top tier,
you still knew
you're a professional. And now like anyone can pick up a digital camera and just film anything.
And if you mess it up, it's all right. We'll just redo
it.
Here it's like each foot of film costs a ton of money. And we better get it right. So yeah, I could see that. So that's our top 7.
So there you go. So what are your favorite Van Damme movies? Yeah. Let us know. What other list should we do of this nature, right? I mean, obviously we'll do Arnold.
We'll do Arnie. Seagal, we'll do Sly
Stallone.
Maybe Dolph.
We could also just do like general favorite 80s action.
Anyway,
we're going to get ahead of ourselves. My name is Will.
My name is Mike.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.